Thank you for tuning into Spirit of Harmony. I'm your host, John Morton, and today we're going to have a slightly different discussion from previous episodes. I'm here with a good friend of mine, Devonte Rhodes, who's going to give an overview of the themes that are prevalent in the work of one of the biggest mainstream pop music stars out there today. Devonte, welcome to the program.
Hey, it's really good to be here. I actually wanted to do this episode for a while. Had to choose exactly which topic I really wanted to do, and this one right here is the one I definitely wanted to do. So I'm kind of enthusiastic about it.
Yeah, this is an episode that's been 2 years in the making, roughly, from when I first conceived this idea of the podcast, because I remember you were one of the first people that I spoke to about it, and
right.
We have finally made it happen.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Well, just to begin, Devonte, I'd love to give you an opportunity to speak a little bit about your own musical upbringing.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Again, Devonte Rhodes, born and raised in good old North Carolina, UNC for life.
As I sit here in my NC State hoodie.
Music has been pretty much around me since the day I was born. Really, it was like, my family loved music, most preferably R&B. They would play that endlessly, like it went out of style. For me, it kind of did. I'm joking, but it was one of their better genres to listen to, whether it was like coming home from work, a good or a bad day. It was R&B was pretty much the vibes of the house if you were to come to our house at that time. Most notably, like artists like Luther Vandross, very legendary R&B artists that they would listen to a lot. And of course, they'll throw in some Michael Jackson in there. Back then, the Jackson 5, they did a variety of different, good genre mixings. And I would say, I can go as far to say they had some pretty good R&B hits. So you would definitely hear that in their house. For me in particular, I was open-minded as a kid, I didn't really mind hearing R&B all the time, or if I ever came across something I would like to hear, I would give it a go. And I'm like, okay, I really like that a lot, so I'm going to keep on listening to it. I think as I got older, I would honestly, 2000s between the 2010s, there was like this big boom in music. I would say 2000s was like wild with all the pop artists that we had at that time, like Justin Timberlake, Britney Spears, all different types of people coming in with like very unique sounds during that time period. So there was never a time where it was like, I'm only going to listen to just R&B or hip hop. It was always something different during that time. And I just couldn't get enough of it. It brought me a different type of vibe as a kid, including growing up to my preteens, that I did not realize that I was able to experience, which was through the music. So, yeah.
Those are all excellent choices. Of course, the work of Michael Jackson, his solo work and his work with the Jackson 5.
Oh, yeah.
That's a body of work that both of us have bonded over together.
Definitely.
It's been a common supplement on some of the trips that we've taken together, the road trips, that is.
Yeah.
And, of course, you and I saw MJ the Musical together, which just amped up our shared Michael Jackson fandom.
God, the stage, the sets, dude, that was an amazing show. I cannot get off. I still remember a good portion of every musical number, the scenes we were doing for that part was, that show was amazing. It was amazing. I would say that was probably one of my favorite shows that we went to. It was a very unique one. I think we came in with very tame expectations from that, and then when they performed and did all the stuff as any musical would do, I was amazed. And that was also my first musical I ever went to, believe it or not.
Same. Yep.
It was wow. Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, that we went to that show together in 2023. It was October of 2023, and that was an interesting year as far as our attending live events goes. Because earlier in the year, we had developed a strategy of obtaining tickets to events by winning, entering all these radio station contests. We can go on local radio stations' websites and enter forms in order to have a chance of winning tickets. And then you can, depending on the station that you're entering from, you can send these links to your friends and family, and if they enter, you get bonus entries. Right. It was a strategy that we picked up on pretty quickly. And we went to a couple of shows that way. The Phil Collins NC Symphony tribute show,
right?
The Swell season, Matchbox 20.
Yeah, that was my favorite one, Matchbox 20. That was dope.
Which we won the tickets for that particular show from a radio station in Virginia. Strangely enough, we had tried from some of the local stations, and then I found this by Googling Matchbox 20 Raleigh win tickets. I found this contest from I believe it's 95.3 The Bear out of I don't know what city in Virginia it's in.
I remember getting those a couple times too when we I think previous shows we would do or try to get very lucky with them. But yeah, apparently The Bear used to chuck tickets left and right. I remember seeing their names a lot in the emails.
Yeah, with that particular with that show, we were able to pick between seeing Matchbox in Raleigh or Charlotte. And I remember I got the email. The show was on a Wednesday, and I got an email from The Bear the Thursday before saying that I won. And I sent you the screenshot of the email. I said, "We're in. I won." And then you responded with the same screenshot. I won too.
They did it simultaneously for people who won. So that was very convenient. So I was hyped.
So you, me, and our friend Daniel Jones. All got to go to that show together. Right. But in the case of MJ the Musical, that was a different monster, if you will.
Yeah.
We entered to win tickets through DPAC's digital lottery. And it was just a common practice with Broadway shows.
Yeah.
The day before the show that you're interested in going to, you can enter a lottery to obtain a pair of tickets to that particular show. And I won. Sadly, I was the only one of the three of us who won tickets after we all.
Yeah, that one was like a blur to me. So in terms of how we won it, so I remember the show a lot, but how we were supposed to enter, that one was a blur to me. I think it was like a click and go kind of thing. So I can't remember half of that.
We had about a 5-hour window within which we can enter the lottery, and then once it closed, we immediately received a notification as to whether or not we won, and then. If you won, you had an hour to go in and buy the tickets, complete the purchase of the tickets.
Right.
I think you were the only person who responded when we were trying to figure out what exactly we would do with only 2 tickets.
Right, yeah. Okay, yeah, that it's coming back to me. Yeah, I remember when I got that. I can't remember. I think Daniel had something planned or something going on with that. So I was like, hey, I'm going to hold this, or either me and John was going to hold it for him, and in case something pops up and he was able to go. And to this day, I'm never going to let Daniel live this down. He could have sat down with us on that one. That one was amazing. Every time I see him, we talk about that, I just shake him like, you could have went. You could have went with us. We listen to him all the time.
We were looking on Ticketmaster to see if there was a seat that could, that might be close to ours. We were trying to decipher where our tickets would be because we didn't know until we got to the box office and picked them up.
Right.
But we were trying to get some kind of general idea, and the only seats that were left were about $160 a piece, and so it would have been tough to finagle that. But nonetheless, it was a incredible experience.
Great seating too. When we got to our spot, we just realized, oh man, we're going to be seeing pretty much everything that's in front of us. I was like, what?
Yeah, we were on the 11th row.
Yeah, I would say that was probably the best seat you could possibly get off of winning the tickets alone. Because sometimes when, believe it or not, they will give you some throwaway seats for contests like that. So I was actually really surprised how good they were, considering they would charge you a good amount just to be that close alone. So Yeah.
Right. Under normal circumstances.
Yeah.
So, for those of you listening, as you can tell, we have quite the history together.
Yeah.
Enjoying music. And, of course, since 2023, that was just the start of our real history of attending shows together.
Mm-hmm.
And one that will hopefully continue on for a very long time.
Oh, for sure. No, yeah.
All right, so with that in mind, let's dive into the real meat and potatoes of today's discussion.
Yes, sir.
As I mentioned in the beginning, rather than discussing one particular song by today's artist, we're going to break down the on-stage persona of this performer and how it connects to the music that he's created over the course of his career. It's an excellent opportunity to have this discussion, as the singer in question recently retired said persona. He is known legally as Abel Tesfaye, but most of you listening know him as The Weeknd. The Weeknd's discography stretches back to the late 2000s, and in the years that have followed, with 6 studio albums, 9 EPs, 3 mixtapes, a soundtrack album, and numerous singles and collaborations, his music has drawn from real-life experiences ranging from struggles with addiction, relationships, and mental health, to name a few. Confronting these issues by bringing them into his creative realm has resulted in a multitude of dense melodic pieces that have granted him numerous accolades critically and commercially. But knowing that Abel's experiences have allowed him to cultivate this character known as The Weeknd allows the listener to speculate as to where exactly truth and fiction blur in the midst of his creative process. So Devonte, just to start off this proper discussion, do you remember your first time hearing The Weeknd, and what was your reaction to his work?
Yeah, I definitely remember hearing it, his first song. He did a lot before I came across him, but I think everyone heard it. It was I Can't Feel My Face was one of them. At the time, I didn't think much of Abel. I thought his voice was amazing. It was something that could rival, I would say at the time, it was something that could rival Bruno Mars. But that was only from my casual point of view from his music. When I dug deep, I'm like, oh man, he can really sing. I'm like, whew. I did not know how much range he had until I actually started to seriously look at his catalog during that time. So yeah, I didn't really think much. I saw a music video. I think he had his music on a couple of ads every once in a while. I always saw him as the dude with the hair because he had the biggest dreads I've ever seen. That was at the top of his head, it was like ice cream. It was it was big. I was like, whoa, okay. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna lie. I thought he was gonna be one of those gimmick artists where it's okay, he only comes in for the vibes with no substance. I did not know at that time he was just breaking out with that song with his very, I would say, very interesting beginnings too. He pretty much started, I would say, not exactly like Justin Bieber. He originally started on the internet where he would every once in a while do a studio song that he wrote, and he was faceless too. Mm-hmm. And during that time, people didn't know what he looked like. People just overall just liked the music that he was throwing out on I don't know, his YouTube channel he had at the time. And a lot of people were trying to figure out who is this Weeknd guy. And after that, I Can't Feel My Face was I would say the real one to have people realize exactly who he was at that time. My timeline for that one was pretty much that song alone. I think shortly after, I was trying to figure out who he was, and his backstory, at least his background, was very, very blurry at the time because you didn't really know how exactly he started out, because the record labels, they would just make that guy or girl sign the contract and they'll just throw him out there and see what sticks. Mm-hmm. So I thought the way he started out was very, very interesting. And if you ever get curious on how artists like him starts, you just gotta see luckily with the time that we're living in, you can look back at their background, and most of the time it's like a lot of internet stuff. So I found that very convenient at the time because I had no idea who he was.
That's interesting. I didn't realize that your first exposure was through Can't Feel My Face specifically.
Yeah.
Of course, I remember that song being popular in late 2015. I was a sophomore in college. My first time hearing him was in late 2012 when a friend of ours in high school played a couple tracks from the trilogy mixtape. Or there was a compilation of 3 mixtapes under one release, if I remember correctly.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
That was before he started releasing studio albums.
Okay.
So again, that was late 2012.
Yeah.
Of course, another story that's connected to all of this, and one that you shake me over, similar to Daniel with MJ the Musical. About a year after that, in late 2013, I went to see Justin Timberlake on his 2020 Experience Tour.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And The Weeknd was the opening act at that show.
Right, yeah.
And I had heard of him, but I didn't really think much of checking him out. I went to that show with my aunt and uncle.
Yeah.
And then I remember we got into, it was at the Lenovo Center, as it's called here in Raleigh, North Carolina nowadays. At the time, it was the PNC Arena.
Mm-hmm.
But we got into the arena just as he was finishing his set. So I heard him very briefly, at least the last song of his set, but did not see him.
Oh, okay.
And little did either of us or any of us know, or little did either of us know at least, how his career would really begin to take off about 2 years later with Can't Feel My Face, as well as The Hills.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely The Hills. Oh, man. Good song.
I wanted to include that little anecdote in here somewhat, in discussing, our introductions to The Weeknd.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
And now Devonte's coming to shake me. He's reaching over.
Yeah, like, oh my God, you did not tell me this all this time.
So now digging into The Weeknd's discography proper, what compositional, production, and performance aspects of his music move you the most?
So this is kind of like a good point in this podcast episode where I want to talk about where this is where it really makes me so excited to engage in his work. So it's mostly songwriting and presentation. It's one thing to be a good singer. It's another thing where you gotta actually have something behind what you're making, So when you're a songwriter, you gotta have something that's like very recognizable, but also when that person engages in it, it's like a rabbit hole of stuff that you can discover within that artist. It all started with Blinding Lights, The music not only locked you in because it was a pop hit, that song is still blowing up to this day, but the music video was insane. It made me curious about what kind of art he was presenting to his audience, and once you figure out you're in this crazy world, like the cinematic storytelling that he's trying to create for the After Hours trilogy, this 3-part story about like this fictional version of him. I would say an exaggerated version of him. It's all about commitment issues, honesty and redemption, all that kind of stuff. Some of the storytelling kind of mirrors his actual life within this trilogy. If you listen hard enough and pay attention to the lyrics, he makes it known that the character that he's playing isn't real, but the character go through similar issues that he went through in his actual life, which I thought was very, very interesting. The music videos, the costumes, it shows exactly where you are in the story. I would say during the time when you were just listening to After Hours Day One, all up to Dawn FM, to Hurry Up Tomorrow, outside of music videos and the albums, sometimes he would do things like outside, of his work. I would say, like, for an example, his character, and now I won't really spoil much. I want people to actually engage into his work without someone like trying to spoon feed it to you. But I'll give you like one good example. Some of the songs, music videos, and I would say certain events that led to like his character's like crazy situation where his entire face gets messed up. And he kind of shows that like outside, whereas like interviews, I don't think he really does interviews that often, but like other outside events that would include him. He would come in with like a bunch of bandages over his face. Maybe he would come in, maybe like a Jimmy Kimmel interview, and he have like a Band-Aid on his face. Mm-hmm. Gradually over time, his face gets messed up more and more and more and more and more. And then after the Grammys, which he got snubbed, by the way, he did like this interesting music video of Save Your Tears, where he had like, it was all built up to why his face looked that way. And then I guess he unwrapped it and he has like a massive face surgery, which I thought was insane. It was also kind of like another kind of like messaging about how celebrities either got something going on behind the scenes in their lives and do things that would look very questionable. Like, why would you get a plastic surgery now? Because you looked fine before. It was a lot of things that he kind of tried to tell people, whether it was inside the album or outside of his music, that I thought was very interesting. So to be a good singer, you got to bring out a certain kind of signature thing that makes you special. That's why Michael Jackson is special the way he is when he does Billie Jean or, Smooth Criminal. Every costume is never the same. And I think The Weeknd kind of brings out that type of vibe with his work as well, because he knows that you can never just be a good singer. You gotta have something that's way beyond of what your work is presenting, and I think the way he does it is really good.
And just for clarification too, the bandage outfit that you're referring to is in reference to 2020 when After Hours was snubbed at the Grammys that year. Unrightfully so.
Yeah.
It's a testament to his talent that he can, take something like that and still manage to craft some kind of artwork out of it.
Right.
And even something that people can still connect to in real life to some extent.
Right.
And feeling as if, your hard work isn't really receiving the acknowledgement that it deserves.
Right. And I'm glad you brought up that part, because it was very well timed at what he did after the Grammys. Because if you watch the music video, I won't explain too much, but I would say in my theory on that music video, because I guess he really wanted to make it very up in the air kind of thing, where he's performing at this very private party and he has like this plastic surgery all over his face. Like, it's all different. It looks completely different. He looks like handsome Squidward. So while he's performing, everyone is just looking at him in masks and stuff. They don't really care and what he's doing. And it's like, I feel like what he's trying to say here, even if he did, and this is just my theory, it could be anything else. You can come to your own conclusion. I think it was like, even if he didn't get snubbed in what he's trying to say in the music video, if he didn't get snubbed, he would still have to keep up expectations for the people that feel like they have that power over him, where it's like, okay, we want you to look like this. We want you to sound like this. We want you to do this. And, progressively in the music video becomes like a nightmare in a way. It's like, this is not the Weeknd I saw before in the last music video. So what happened? So it's like, it's kind of like showing exactly how fast the industry can just change you overnight just because you want to be successful, more well known, more famous beyond your comprehension. And more than often than not, some people would do things that probably won't be comfortable with them, but they do it anyway because they come under that pressure. And from what I got from that music video, I think he's basically saying, hey, if this is what you guys want from me, then I might have to give you the middle finger. And that was the music video.
So just to continue on, how would you say your relationship with The Weeknd and his music, along with music as a whole, has evolved?
All right, so I'm going to start with music. So for music, it has been therapy right now in my life. Then it has been so much more, like I would say, I don't think I talk about this often, but like music is pretty much life. I feel like this would be hard to translate, but I will do my very best. We as humans, we always feel, we move through rhythms in our life, and just making music, we enjoy it just as much as like waking up, going through a certain routine, coming home, going to sleep, eat, sleep, all that kind of stuff. All that is like a certain kind of rhythm in our lives, and I look at music as the same way. I would say it would, what's the word for it? I would say it will exemplify exactly why we love music. Mm-hmm. It just says, okay, this is what we are. We are happy, we are sad, we get angry. All of the material of the stuff that we create through music is exactly what we try to speak to other people with, because it's a lot of people, they like to communicate in a whole lot of different ways. Mm-hmm. And music is, to me, a form of communication is understandable, but also like, it's hard to put into words. It's exactly how I'm doing right now. So music is life. That's what I always see in music. Is like it exemplifies everything that we do in our lives. Mm-hmm. As for The Weeknd, the music often talks about love, breakups, some existential stuff. But what I mostly focused on with his material was, it's pretty simple. I feel like if you pay attention to his character since day one, with After Hours, don't be a crappy person. I can't speak for Abel, but his songs often talks about regrets, about relationships, with women, with friends, he has done wrong. This is the part where he pretty much mirrors his character every time through his music. The Weeknd's character, he has a falling out with his girlfriend he has known for years. I'm giving you a little spoiler, but this is like, I feel like this will be a great starting point for anyone that wants to listen to his music. So After Hours pretty much starts with him having a fallout with his girlfriend that he's known for years. I would say even like young, like teenagers. His character has reached to fame, finally, beyond his wildest dreams, and becomes greedy, does a lot of sinful acts, and he even cheats on her. I think most of the songs that implies that. And from what I got is, from all of his music, at least mostly from the After Hours trilogy, is that, wherever you are in your life, whether it's successful or like a huge turn, I guess, don't take whatever you have for granted. Your actions can affect a lot of people around you. You have that power, no matter how small or how big it is, to use whatever you acquired in your life with good intentions and more. So that's pretty much how, as I get older and I start listening to his music more and more, I realize, okay, this is what Abel is trying to say. Like, if you ever reach a certain status in your life, just remember, like, you still got people that you've known for a long time who are probably more closer than you realize, and that you have a power, a responsibility, and you gotta use that the right way. It could turn bad real quick, and it all starts with who you are, knowing the good side of you as a person. And I think The Weeknd knows exactly how he wanted to start off this trilogy. It's all about saying that you could be a good person even if you don't feel like it, and make it right with people. And it's just all about accepting who you are and accepting the faults that you did. So, and it's very chilling once you get to Hurry Up Tomorrow, when you realize at that point he brings out all the good stuff that he wants to show to you and tell you that this is what you can do to make things right with whoever you've done wrong in your life and what bad decisions that you made.
It's a fantastic answer. Touching on the first part of your response, it is amazing how songwriters are able to put, some of our thoughts and feelings in a comprehensive form so much better than we can, trying to use our own words. I mean, it's just incredible, how someone can take whatever is on your mind or within your heart and convey it to the world in a way that so many of us are incapable of doing ourselves.
Right.
And as far as The Weeknd's career goes, touching on everything that you said about his work specifically, it's a beautiful thing when you think about it. It inspires you to see that there is the potential for good in every single person that we encounter on this earth.
Yeah.
There are always opportunities for one to redeem themselves in the midst of adversity, or if we're in a fallen state.
Yeah.
And it's possible to help other people do the same.
Right.
That's the simplest way that I can sum up everything that you've laid out there.
Just to go off on that, I think either The Weeknd or a lot of people I've read on the internet, I would say a couple Twitter groups I follow, a lot of his music has saved a lot of people. A lot of people just think, like, I would say he has like 3 parts, or at least 3 types of songs that he brings out for his albums. Like, you got the ones that's good for a club, one that's good for a casual house party, and then you got the ones that has like the storytelling. And the storytelling for me is where it's like, all the other ones are fun. I like the first 2, but man, when you get to the storytelling part, you really get to see exactly how far songwriting can go. He saved a lot of people with his songwriting by talking to himself in a very vulnerable way. A lot of artists, they would sugarcoat exactly what he did. I can't stress this enough, but a lot of artists need to be more vulnerable when they make their music. The fact that a lot of people engage it in such a deep way is why people show up to his concerts. When you have an artist that's speaking directly to you, I guarantee you they will show up every time, because they found something that has something that they have exactly what they're going through. So when you are having a bad day, or you have a really bad event that happened in your life, all you gotta do is like listen to his music. One song will probably say, dang, that hits hard at home. And and most of the time it does. Most preferably, I would say a good portion of it from Hurry Up Tomorrow does. It is one of those albums in his trilogy where he's like, I've been there. So all it takes is an artist to have something like that says I've been there, or all that other kind of stuff. He really speaks to the person directly who probably went through what he went through.
It reminds me of a piece of advice that Rob Thomas, the frontman of Matchbox 20, gave about songwriting, or has given about songwriting. I believe in a couple of interviews that I've read of his. He of course draws on all of his real life experiences with his solo work and his stuff with Matchbox 20. And he said, it's important that I take whatever is going on in my life, and in writing about it, I express my feelings on whatever matter is at hand in such a way that anyone can resonate with
Yeah.
it. He said, I can write a song about having an argument with my wife,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not important that you as a listener know every single little detail that goes on in it.
Exactly. Yeah.
I have to write about it in such a way that whoever is listening to it is able to put themselves in my shoes
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
see themselves in that situation. And so I think The Weeknd himself has proven quite successful in that regard in terms of songwriting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, and then diving into the last major question of this discussion, what is the key takeaway thematically and or sonically that you would like for listeners to get should they decide to explore The Weeknd's work?
Well, I will say if you're listening to his early work, I will say go ahead. There's a lot to go off of with his early work. I'm still to this day going back to like other stuff that he's made. I will admit I have missed a few holes here and there I need to fill in and listen to that I never got a chance to. I'm currently listening to Kissland. Pretty good album. I would say with most fans it's very okay-ish, but a lot of people are saying it's really good when you pay attention to what he's trying to say there with that one. However, and this is why I even want to do this episode in the first place, if you are going to listen to the After Hours trilogy, there's one thing I need to tell you. You need to pay attention to the storytelling. I believe the After Hours trilogy is just genius on how it takes the listener on this crazy wild ride he takes on for everyone. I got like 3 words for each album, and without even spoiling a lot of things, because I already spoiled the After Hours at least a little bit for you, but I will give you 3 words for each one. After Hours, Descent. Dawn FM, Regrets, and then the final album of the trilogy where he kills off his persona, Acceptance. Each one, I think you should go in for the After Hours trilogy with those words in mind. I would say which one would be like the best one. I won't lie. I've been like debating that in my head for a while. I would say After Hours by far the best one, but man, I cannot get enough of Dawn FM. Hurry Up Tomorrow is by far probably the best conclusion you could possibly do for a trilogy of albums with a complete storyline. But Dawn FM, I would say I look at Dawn FM the same way I look at Star Wars with Empire Strikes Back. Mm-hmm. Dawn FM is genius. As far as what details I want to go about that one, you got some very cool story elements, and it sends you on this other world that you can just imagine on your own. He gives you a lot of room to imagine exactly what's going on in this album. One of the central characters you'll come across a lot that he makes it known is Jim Carrey. He is a radio host for a fictional world where he kind of guides The Weeknd's character through these issues that he's going through. And at the same time, the radio is predominantly his music. And people within this world is not only enjoying it, but they're on their way out of whatever world that they're in. And The Weeknd, he's not only creating this music for this world, but he's still figuring out and has regrets about what he did before he got into like this weird radio world that he's in. I would say you have a fun time listening to Dawn FM. I feel like Hurry Up Tomorrow is kind of going back to square one with After Hours, where Dawn FM is like a mix between After Hours and give you a taste of what Hurry Up Tomorrow was going to be before that came out. Because man, I was anticipating Hurry Up Tomorrow a lot, and then after his voice situation, I was very patient because I know that it was a lot to do his final conclusion for his storyline. I felt like it was very worth the wait for Hurry Up Tomorrow. And then after, I think during that time period, he did the movie. I think it's okay. I feel if you're a casual movie goer, you'll think it was pretty all over the place. This one was definitely made for the Weeknd fans. Okay, I would say as a movie critic, I completely understand the harsh criticisms coming from this movie. He made it in a way where he was giving fans a little piece of, I would say a big piece actually, of the work that built up to this movie. Because I think before in the past, he wanted to do a movie a long time before Dawn FM, if I'm right. I think it was like something he vaguely said in the past. I'm not really sure. Now that it's finally made, I think I've watched it 4 times, and I kind of get why he made it. He wasn't going all big for this one. He was kind of speaking to his fans with this one. It was a love letter to the fans, and also just what he is currently was going through at the time to get that album out. Like I said, you'll find something decent out of that movie. You might not. Who knows? To make it, I would say to make it a little better. If you've seen the movie already, I would say I would prefer this to be distributed differently than how it was for theaters. I felt like if they were going to do a rollout for this album, he could have done like a short film and had tied to like a premium version for the album and vinyl purchases or something like that. I felt like that would have been a better idea if I was on the side of saying this movie sucks. Blah, blah, blah. I felt like that would have been the best route he could have taken with that, because you're pretty much saying goodbye to this character. And the craziest thing you could possibly do for a final album was to tie it to a bundle package. Where, I mean, I think it would have been pretty expensive alone, but hey, it would have been worth it for hardcore fans if they bundled it all together, whether it had like a Blu-ray or a DVD or like a I don't know, like a QR code where it sends you a download to watch it on your phone or tablet or laptop. I don't know. But that's like the whole nother story alone. Yeah. But Hurry Up Tomorrow, I would say at most, I would probably give that a 6 out of 10 if we're talking about critic-wise. I think he did okay acting-wise. He did exactly what he needed to do. He does have his goofy moments, but it was an alright movie. All of his work is pretty much solid. I would say probably the best in the business. I can't wait to see what else he got in store for us. Just because he got rid of his character doesn't mean he's out for the count. I'm pretty sure he is probably working on music where he's probably working beyond the stuff that he wanted to do before. So that's really exciting. Not saying he was like stuck to that character and that's only this kind of stuff he wanted to make alone. But I think he's going to bring out a lot more music that he wanted to bring out for a very long time, even before the trilogy or the After Hour. There's a lot of stuff, I think, from the last song on Hurry Up Tomorrow. I think he pretty much said that he really wants to figure a lot of things out and bring out some more work that a lot of people probably hasn't seen from him. So I'm excited.
And rightfully so. This whole discussion here, it reminds me of one of your earlier points, talking about him working under pressure. And it's interesting in thinking about Hurry Up Tomorrow and how the incident in 2022 when he lost his voice on stage at SoFi Stadium, how that ended up being incorporated into the whole story or universe within Hurry Up Tomorrow.
Yeah, I think it wraps up in a really nice bow because, again, not spoiling anything, but he does it really well with this to where his character is so much closer to who he is right now in the last album that it pretty much becomes identical to the last few 5 or 8 songs, I would say. You begin to realize that he's also just talking to you like as Abel in the last few moments in the album. And I thought those last few moments of the album were powerful. He does really well saying goodbye to the character, but also saying goodbye to this world that he's created. I would want a fourth one if I really wanted to, because there was so much to this world that he created that just begged so many questions. I would say look up other stuff within the album. Some good channels will probably explain it better than I do with the songwriting, but like there are also other characters you probably would not even realize that his songwriting implies too, which I thought that was kind of cool. I would say for short, After Hours trilogy is a movie trilogy of something that you cannot see but listen. And it's crazy, especially on how it concludes. He definitely does some fourth wall breaking in this album. It's really cool how he does it.
And this too reminds me of last year. We're recording this in February of 2026.
Yeah.
Hurry Up Tomorrow was released in January of 2025, so just over a year ago now.
Mm-hmm.
And so for each of the last couple of years, myself and Daniel and Devonte have gone on a trip together during Daniel's spring break. Daniel is a school teacher.
Yeah.
And so this is, a popular opportunity for us to showcase whatever we've been listening to on these road trips that we take.
Yeah.
And so last year, of course, Hurry Up Tomorrow had just come out.
Yeah.
And I remember, in the midst of our trip to Myrtle Beach, over the course of a couple of days that we were together, we listened to just about every song on that album, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I picked a few ones that I thought I was very, good casual listening to the group. Some good ones, some really good high production ones that I thought that was really, really cool to listen to at the time. But I would say it was a good portion. I handpicked a lot that was very good, notably. That was either part of the storyline or just some good vibes that he kind of does in the albums. Like think of it as intermissions for movies that's like really long. Sometimes the ones of like random features, like a rapper or someone else like completely different, those kind of serve as like intermissions for the album, at least in my opinion.
I specifically remember the day that we left when we came home.
Oh, yeah.
We started the trip home with the song Hurry Up Tomorrow. You specifically requested that be the opening track to our car ride home.
I think that was the first one. I believe was Han. Crazy. Let me see. I'm looking it up right now. So the first one, you're half right about that. The first one was Wake Me Up. It was like the first like song on the album, and then after that I kind of did like a couple shuffles here and there. But the last song on the album was actually Hurry Up Tomorrow. Yeah. So that was the last one, the name of the album. So that one was kind of like the big conclusion of like everything.
But it made for a fitting way to kick off the road trip back to reality.
Yeah.
And then we went into Matchbox 20 after that, I do remember.
I remember. Yeah, we did a lot of good ones on that one. And of course, some Rob Thomas.
Yeah, and Creed.
Creed. Oh, yeah, Creed. That was some Creed in there, too.
For those of y'all listening, as you can tell, there are a ton of artists that just continue to pop up on this list. Ones that we bond over and play in the car on these trips. The Weeknd, Michael Jackson, Rob Thomas, Matchbox 20, Creed.
Yeah. Some
Elton John.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
The list continues to grow.
And just to bounce off of that, I listen to, of course, like I said before, I listen to a lot of music, so I'm very open-minded. And during my time when I was growing up, I ended up listening to similar music that me and John regularly listen to when we go on road trips. So I always thought, oh man, you listen to that? Like, no way. Like, there was always that like that gem that we listen to. And I always make this joke a lot. Or at least I would say it's not even joking. It's like an actual thing. Most of my time when I was working in retail, I was mostly listening to songs from, I would say decent bands that would, still pop up every once in a while, whether it's from tours or just, trying to come back with a new album. And most of the time, I would say jokingly when we go out and about, or whether it's in the car, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, that Food Line played that song a million times when I was working, so I know this song very well. I even know the lyrics too well to that point. So I always thought that was funny because there's like certain songs you can't really escape that were I would say very underrated, and sometimes it would just pop right back up, and it's like, yep, I know that song. That's from the Food Line soundtrack. They have an assortment of songs that just keep playing over and over and over, and it kind of gets to the point where you just end up liking it anyway.
I know Walmart radio is, somewhat of a big deal, it seems.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, the corporation, like, is very corporate, so they more than likely will, in between songs, they'll just talk about Ritz crackers for like 10 minutes. So I always thought that was kind of weird. But as far as like music selections, yeah, it was like, I can't say now. I feel like they're trying to be very hippie, or very hip. I mean, with how they bring out like certain songs or music for Walmart radio. But back then when I was working, they would play like very niche bands like One Republic every once in a while. Of course, Matchbox 20. What other bands they used to? I would say Smashing Pumpkins.
Oh yeah,
they would do Smashing Pumpkins more than anyone else. I don't know if Smashing Pumpkins got a deal with Walmart, but I remembered hearing their songs way more than I was supposed to. What's the song? I think
1979.
Yeah, 1979. Yeah. They would, okay, if I was doing night shift, they would play 1979 a lot. It's been a while since I've been back in retail, but it's gotten to the point where hearing 1979 is nostalgic because I remembered stocking a shelf while that song was playing in the background. Like that's how nostalgic that song is to me. It's like, oh, you heard this song when it came. No, I heard this song during the time after graduation when I was working for Walmart when I was in night shift. That's the kind of nostalgia I have.
It's a very different nostalgia from the one that Billy Corgan wrote in that song.
Right,
and
exactly.
very different from the nostalgia that people that were around when it came out had.
Yeah.
It's a different attachment.
Exactly.
From either the creator or its initial audience.
Yeah, exactly.
Another one that I remember you saying was popular on Walmart radio is Linger by the Cranberries.
Yeah, that one. Oh man, I don't know what's up with that. That one also plays a lot too. I don't know how their music rotation goes, but yeah, they would play that one a lot too. They would make sure that you have that stuck in your head if you're an employee there. I don't know if it's part of some type of brainwashing initiative or something. It just happens, it just happens. But luckily, I came out all right, and I just end up just liking the music just alone. So yeah.
Sometimes the music that comes on in retail outlets can be very much a mixed bag.
Yeah.
But if you work there, there's all sorts of horror stories about people who just can't enjoy certain songs because it reminds them of working, some of those places. But if you're lucky, you do find some gems that make the job worth it, in all honesty.
Right. What was a show that we went to? And the guy had a wheel.
Oh, Matt Nathanson. Yeah.
He had a wheel on the way to show, I guess like a game, to make the show more exciting, where he would spin the wheel and it'll be whatever type of song that he would play, whether it's like a cover or actually his songs that matches a certain vibe that he's going with. Mm-hmm. But my favorite one, and I pointed this out on the wheel, was songs that play in the
supermarkets.
in the supermarkets. And I'm like, okay, yeah. So he kind of admits that his songs probably ends up more in supermarkets more than anything. I can't really hate him for that. That was actually pretty funny because he was pretty much right. I remember hearing his songs through my retail time, whether it was working for Walmart Food Lion or doing a contract job with Lowe's. So I thought that was very funny.
Yeah. Yeah, it was the Wheel of Song. That's what he called it.
Okay, that's what it is. Yeah.
And it was split into a couple of different categories. Some of the categories were albums of his. Some of them, I believe, some of them were just standalone songs.
Yeah.
But then there were other kind of out there categories. One was Undercover, which there were two different kinds of cover categories. One of them had to be songs that he had actually recorded studio covers of, because it landed on that at one point, and he did a song from U2 called "Who's Gonna Ride Your Wild Horses."
Oh, okay, yeah, I think I remember that. Yeah.
Which was from their album "Tongue Baby," which that album came out in 1991, and in 2021 for its 30th anniversary, Matt recorded his own version of the entire album.
Yeah.
So he was when it landed on that category, he was able to do that song. But there was another covers category where he could just play whatever he felt like. In that instance, if the wheel landed on it.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty bold to do, because if you're a fan of an artist, sometimes you kind of have this idea of them doing a set list, and he just said, "Hey, I'm just gonna play whatever lands on this wheel." So I thought that was pretty bold. I thought that was pretty different compared to other shows that we went to. I don't think I ever seen an artist do that, let alone a wheel. So that was different for sure.
Yeah, the closest thing that comes to mind, and I believe this was the concert that I went to most recently, before that Matt Nathanson show.
Yeah.
It was Ben Folds, and the show was the Paper Airplane Request tour.
Oh.
And that was the way that show was set up. It was just him and the piano.
Yeah.
And the first third of the show was just a set list that he put together that he played every night on this tour. And then after he played that set, he would leave the stage for a couple of minutes, and everyone in the audience was given a pen and a piece of paper to write a song request on.
That's cool.
And we all would fold the paper into paper airplanes.
Yeah.
And throw them onto the stage. And the rest of the show was just him taking requests from the planes that were on the stage.
Right. Huh. That's interesting.
Very similar in that regard. I wish more artists would, do shows like that where they played whatever anyone wanted to hear.
Yeah. I think probably the closest thing as far as Ben Folds and Matt, I think Donald Glover, he kind of did something similar. Me and my mom went to a show for Donald Glover. If you don't know his music much, I would say his most notable songs are 3005 and This Is America. I would say you'll probably know This Is America more than anything else. As far as I would say Redbone, that's a classic. He had this very high tech stage he had set up for his concert. It was really, really cool. I would say it was probably one of the best stages I've seen in a concert in a very, very long time. And he did this thing where he kind of tested the hardcore fans on this. He had this system that keeps track of the volume of the audience, yelling and screaming. And he was like, "Hey, we're gonna play either two songs. Whatever song that you guys yell the loudest, this thing, if this thing goes up higher than the other, I'm playing it." And he pretty much did that. And it was, I think it was only two different parts that he was going for. It was only two, I think he was doing, but for the rest of the show, he was just going by his regular set list. But I thought that was actually really cool, because you actually got to see the bar, a multicolored bar, rise up and see how high it goes and see how hard people were cheering for what song they wanted to hear. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, even a method like that Donald Glover as Childish Gambino implemented in his shows would be appreciated, just to give a little bit of variation each night.
Yeah,
it goes a long way in my opinion, rather than the same static set list throughout an entire 100 show tour.
Oh yeah. I think I mentioned it before. It was he was testing the hardcore fans with this. These were like deep cuts of like very early music that he was doing. So I think he was even curious on exactly what songs that people really rock with the most from his old work. So when he saw which one went the highest, I think he was like, okay, that's the one. Yeah. So I thought that was kind of cool because I'm pretty sure he probably got different results during his tour. So I thought that was a pretty cool addition he added to the concert.
And obviously, I'm sure that this is a strategy that you wish the Weeknd himself would implement.
Yeah, I would say so. If he ever does like some type of Weeknd returns kind of tour where he kind of like goes back and does like his very early work for his concert, and I guess he would do something similar like that. I guess that'd be kind of dope. I think a lot of people would go back and try to have him do like the trilogy, and of course after hours, but like very early stuff. I would go as far and say they'll probably try to get him to do the songs that he did when he was faceless on YouTube. So that would be pretty cool to see.
You mentioned the idea of the Weeknd return, so I must ask now: do you truly believe that this is the end of the Weeknd persona?
Oh yeah. I believe this is definitely the end for his character. I feel like I can't speak for Abel, but if I were to like dig his brain, I feel like it would be a disservice to like magically bring back his character from the dead and say, hey, this character's back, all this type of stuff, blah blah blah. I wouldn't think he would do that, honestly. I feel like this character, if you pay attention to the storytelling, the character went through so much in this story that it would feel kind of cruel in a way if you try to bring back his character in some kind of fashion. Like I said before with the 3 words I have for every album, in Hurry Up Tomorrow, he has some type of acceptance of what he did and went through. So after that was pretty much it. He was like, hey, this is it. I mean, I don't think there's really much I can do after this. So I wouldn't think he would do that, honestly. I think he, right now, whatever work he has planned ahead, he wants to come in as Abel. As far as like any other material, I feel like he might want to play around with it, but not actually bring him back. Probably like put on the red suit again. Funnily enough, he hated wearing that red suit. I don't know whether it was because it didn't feel comfortable or not, or I think it was because the constant areas and places they had to go to wear that suit a lot. So if he's not wearing the iconic red suit, then I think this might be the last time you'll probably ever see him play as that particular character again in that kind of way.
I think that's fair. I say you never know.
Yeah,
in today's industry,
it's unpredictable. You never really know.
In today's entertainment industry, it just seems like franchises, characters, the studios refuse to let them die.
Right, exactly. I think if Abel does like this new way of doing his music, I think the higher ups will be okay with that.
Yeah,
I think they will be like, oh, okay, you're not the Weeknd, but you're Abel.
You're the weekday.
Right. But if the music's good enough, then we won't have to worry about you getting rid of your stage name, you know? So I think it will probably work out for him.
It will be interesting to see what his future endeavors look like.
Yeah, I've wondered too. I'm anticipating for the next album. He has been hinting that he is, well, I think he's pretty much had a good head start after Hurry Up Tomorrow. That he has been working on music beyond that album. So just how any artist goes, it's going to take a while. I feel like he's not trying to bring it out so soon. I don't know whether he could drop it this year or the next year. You never really know. But for me, I'm patient. I don't mind waiting for an Abel album in 3 years, 4 years from now. Because the one thing I always find good about certain artists is when it takes them a long time to make an album, and when it finally drops, you kind of realize that this was definitely worth the wait with the material that they present to you. Honestly, I don't know what the name will be. I don't know what type of vibes he's going to be going on with this. But day one, I will be seated and I will be definitely be listening to it, because I can't feel like I'm not going to be excited about something that he makes, because his music is phenomenal.
I definitely think it could still be a couple of years before something comes out, because I know that he's still on this Hurry Up Tomorrow tour into this year.
Yeah.
So I think it's totally feasible. It could be a couple of years, but I'm right there with you with my favorite artists. I would rather they take their time.
Oh yeah.
Making sure that their current project is the best it can possibly be.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I'm of course the same way with my own compositions. I would rather take a couple of years between releases, even if it means not putting stuff out in between. I know that's more so the norm among just smaller, everyday musicians.
Yeah.
Who are just putting themselves on the internet for whoever wants to listen to it.
Of course.
Whether or not they have any mainstream aspirations. But still, I mean, I want to make sure that the body of work that I'm working on, whatever collection of songs I have at hand, are the absolute best they can be as far as composition and performance and production go. I mean, I would rather do that than just be constantly churning out product that's not up to the standard that I want it to be up to.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I agree.
Well, I believe we are getting towards the end of this discussion. Before we totally wrap up, do you have any final thoughts on our overall discussion, Devonte?
I love listening to podcasts. I remembered in the past that it was like me, John, and Daniel, and I can't remember when and where we were when we was talking about this. But I was like, man, we all should do a podcast. And Daniel was like, oh, well, what will we do? And I was like, I don't know. We'll think about it. But then John, he came up with this, having a music podcast, everything that's centralized to music. So that turned out pretty well, in my opinion. I would say that has a lot you can do with a podcast like that. So I was definitely excited to hear that, and I was like, you know what? Let me find a topic of my own. So, of course, I had a lot of things going on. I was busy, so at the time I was trying to figure out which one I wanted to do the most. So I was like, you know what? Let me do the Weeknd, because I love stories of this kind of music at this caliber, of artists creating worlds and characters where it just sends you in a whole nother world, and you just close your eyes and you can just imagine exactly what kind of world they're trying to create for you to listen to. So this is stuff I'm really enthusiastic about. I can talk endlessly about the Weeknd and what we even talked about on this podcast about him in particular. That's just only scratching the surface, honestly. He digs deep on how he wanted to do After Hours. This wasn't just a last minute decision or just an idea he wanted to do. This was something that he was planning to do for a very long time, and it showed with Dawn FM. You can imagine how fast that one came out. It is a body of work that I admire a lot, because, like I said before, I appreciate an art form that goes far deeper than it should. And the Weeknd, he caught my eye on that a lot. And I love imagining all these what if scenarios and whatever interpretation that he wanted to create. And it's just, it's amazing. It's something that I feel like even a book can't possibly do in this kind of way. Having the songwriting be this good while creating worlds, that's otherworldly. It's truly amazing.
Yeah, that's one of the things that's always stood out to me as far as the production of some songs. I mean, when you examine all the layers that exist among the instruments in a given piece, it really does seem like there's this entire living sonic universe, within the confines of this 3 or 4 minute piece of music.
Yeah.
In exploring the Weeknd's work, I mean, he's certainly somebody who aspires to do that himself.
Even if he doesn't win 100 Grammys for what he does, I don't mind that. Whatever situation he got with the Grammys, I'm content with what he has created. And if you were to have that opportunity to have that, then sure, I would be okay with that. But I admire that he's able to bring out the work without having to worry about bigger things that he wants from out of it. I mean, I'm sure he probably wants more from that. I can't doubt it, I'm pretty sure he definitely wants more from the Grammys. He probably want an award for that. He got snubbed again, apparently.
Oh, that's right.
This year for the Grammys.
For Hurry Up Song.
Apparently he was in for he was qualified for a nomination, but apparently they didn't nominate him for a single thing. Hopefully this only motivates him more to create better and bigger music. I hope this doesn't rain on his parade, so to speak. So I think this is something that will probably drive him to do something way bigger, to the point where the Grammys won't even have to be a question anymore for him. I would want any artist that I like and listen to have a Grammy, but if they drive a certain way where it is not necessarily required, then I'm okay with that too, honestly.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I hope that as he goes throughout his career, he starts to realize more and more how irrelevant awards like that are, especially in the age that we're living in now.
Yeah.
I think his focus should solely be on, opening his heart in whatever sonic and compositional ways he believes is best, without any focus on accolades.
Right.
Just let those come naturally as they have to this point.
Yeah, I think whenever he comes back out again, it'll become so overwhelming that he might end up getting back into those accolades again. So if you make things as loud as possible to the point they can't ignore it, then you might be back on track on getting those accolades that you rightfully deserve. Who knows? I would go as far as to say that for anyone in life. If you feel like you've been overlooked that often, then just keep doing what you're doing, and you feel like if it's working naturally, eventually you're going to have people that will acknowledge you, To me, I feel like that's pretty inspiring.
Honestly, I think that's a fantastic way to wrap things up. Devonte, thank you so much for taking the time to appear on this podcast. I know it's been a long time in the making.
Yeah.
But it's been an absolute pleasure.
This was fun. I loved it.
Thank you so much for taking the time to take in today's episode. And be sure to subscribe if you feel inclined to do so, and turn on the notifications so you can be in the know about when all the new content is coming out. I'll see you in the next episode.
See ya.